Welcome. Today we will explore speciation, the process by which one species splits into two. Think of it as nature's version of a biological breakup, but with far more drama and DNA. Speciation is central to evolution because without it, life would stagnate. We would never get new species. This is how the diversity of life is generated over time. A common definition: a species is a group that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. But of course, nature always loves to complicate things. There are exceptions to every rule. Hybrid zones, ring species, or organisms that reproduce asexually make it tricky to define species using just one definition. Reproductive isolation is what keeps species separate. Prezygotic barriers block fertilization. Postzygotic barriers come into play after fertilization. For example, two insects might live in the same forest, but one is active only at night, so that's temporal isolation. Or they court differently, that's behavioral isolation. There are many clever ways to avoid mating. In some cases, hybrids form but don't survive, or inviability, can't reproduce, in other words, sterility, or produce weaker descendants, i.e., breakdown. Mules are the classic example of hybrid sterility. In allopatric speciation, a physical barrier like a mountain or river splits a population, and they evolve separately. Over time, they may become distinct species. Steps in allopatric speciation. First, they must be separated. Then, without gene flow, they diverge by mutation, selection, and drift. Finally, they no longer recognize each other as mates. In sympatric speciation, new species form in the same area. Crazy, right? But it happens, often by mechanisms like polyploidy, especially in plants. For example, a subgroup starts using a new niche or mates differently. In plants, sometimes chromosome doubling creates instant reproductive isolation. Boom, new species. In African lakes, cichlid fish have speciated wildly in one lake, sympatrically. Differences in diet, coloration, and mating calls drove speciation even though populations overlap. Adaptive radiation is like a species going on a career spree, branching into all kinds of niches. Darwin's finches are textbook. Speciation doesn't always happen at the same pace. Some lineages wait eons, others burst in quick events, like elevators and escalations, or like elevators and escalators in evolution. Hawaiian honeycreepers. These birds colonized islands and diversified into dozens of species with different beaks, colors, and behaviors. A speciation playground. In plants, polyploidy is like jumping evolutionary steps. Double a genome, and you might not be able to mate with your parent type. Evolution's mic drop. In parapatric speciation, populations live next to each other, but diverge by selective pressure. In peripatric speciation, a tiny offshoot population speciates at the margin. If two groups beat again but produce weak hybrids, natural selection can reinforce separation. Sort of like we tried, back off in evolutionary terms. This table pulls it all together. Which mode, how, and real-world examples. Use this to compare and contrast in exams. That's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Dr. B's tutorials on Amazon for full AP and IB study guides. See the first link in the comments below. For more tutorials and test prep videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dr. B's Tutorials.